Hello, this is Trinity. I'm going to be doing my nail art stamping tutorial with the tools you see here. I have my stamping plate from What's Up Nails and my scraper and my stamper. And this is the design I will be doing. I will post pictures and show that in still so you can see it better. And a few tips before we get started. One big tip: when you are stamping your nails, you have a tendency to get it all over your skin. I started this hand to show you, and as you can see, I've already done these fingers and my thumb, and you can see on this finger the stamp goes way beyond the finger. But what I've done is I've put Scotch tape around the nail so that when I peel it off, the excess is not there. Now, they do make products you can buy, like a nail guard or latex rubber that you can paint on, but Scotch tape works just as well, and it's pretty cheap. I mean, who doesn't have Scotch tape? So all you do, I'm going to show you is, or this is what I do anyway. I guess you can call this a nail hack. I put one around the top so it's on the top, protects the top cuticle area. And I'm going to be stamping these two fingers, so I'm showing you how I do that on these two fingers. And then I put another piece of tape slightly longer. It'll go around the sides and under the nail. Now, while I'm doing this, I want to, as you can see, I already have my base coat on, and I do have a top coat over it. I do recommend that you make sure that your base coat is completely dry. I usually wait a minimum, if I'm using lacquer, a minimum of 4 hours. If I'm using gel, a minimum of 2. Sometimes, especially if I have several layers, to make the base coat dark enough, I will wait a full day before I do the stamping. And this just makes sure that, you know, you don't, when you're stamping, you don't smudge the base coat, put any dents or anything in it. You know, make sure it's completely dry. Now, some people, when they stamp, they don't put a top coat over it until they do the stamp. I like to put the top coat on before I do the stamping. And the reason for that is if I mess up the stamping, I can just wipe it off before it dries. Instead of having to remove the entire color and do the nail all over again, I'm just removing the stamp, not the base and everything. So that's why I like to do that. So as you can see, I have my tape on, so my nail is ready to go. Now, when you're first doing this, you're going to want to practice getting the right amount of color onto the stamping plate. If you have too much, you just get a glob and you don't see the design. If you have too little, the design does not transfer onto your rubber stamp. So that does take practice. I recommend using a cheap nail polish that you aren't really gonna be worried about wasting before you start actually doing your stamping. So I'm using the color Raven from our Jamberry collection for the base color. So I'm just going to take it and paint it on part of the stamp. I usually do about 2/3. Now, you don't want a thin layer, like I said, because you got to make sure it covers the whole pattern. So I cover it about 1/3 of the plate, and then you take your scraper. You don't want to hold it straight up. You don't want to hold it like that. You want it at about a 45-degree angle to smear it over the rest of the stamp. Then you take your rubber stamper and you go straight down to get the design on there. Now, this dries quickly, so you've got to transfer it pretty quick. And as you can see, this stamper, you can see through it. I like the one you can see through because then you can see where you're placing the stamp on the finger. Then you take some, I take a pad with remover on it and I clean up the stamper and the plate. to get it ready for the next nail. If you've got any lacquer remaining in the stamp plate, it won't transfer for the next stamp. So I clean it up really well, and then I take an alcohol wipe and wipe off the remover and let it air dry for a second. And the reason I do this is if I immediately go and use it for the next nail and there's remover on there, it's going to break down the lacquer, and again, it won't transfer. So it takes just a second to air dry, and you can blow on it. Make sure it's dry. So then I'm ready to do my next nail. And I'm just going to do the same thing. And I'm going to scrape it. Grab my stamper, stamp down. Place it where I want it. Put it on my nail. And ta-da! It's on there. Now that's my last nail so that I'm stamping, so I will thoroughly clean it after I'm done. So now what I'm doing next, I'm going to leave that here, is as you can see on these nails, I've got some color on there, but not on these nails. Where's that coming from, you say? I've taken our holographic lacquers, That Glow though, which is retired, and Holo World, which you can still get. And I've taken an orange stick, one for each color, and I dip the end of it into the color, and I'm just dabbing it where I want it. I'm filling in these empty hearts and making them look like, or attempting to make them look like round bulbs to try and make this look like a string of Christmas lights on my nails. I'm not sure how successful I'm being at that, but that's my intention and my attempt. And that's part of the nail design. And I'll show you, I'm not going to do a whole lot because I don't want to make this video too long. But you can use nail art dotting tools or nail art brushes to do this instead. I currently don't have any, so I'm just using, oops, I didn't get enough on there. I am just using an orange cuticle stick. I'm just using the point of the cuticle stick and just placing and tapping and dotting the lacquer where I want it. And I'm doing it only a little bit at a time because, again, since this is very thin amount, it's going to dry pretty quickly. And I'm just trying to alternate the colors and spread it around so that it looks like actual Christmas lights, or at least that's my hope anyway. And we'll do one more red up here. And now we're going to do the silver holographic. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm just gathering a bunch onto the end of the orange stick and just dotting it where I want it. Now you can get really elaborate with these nail stampings and doing the nail art, but if this is your first time doing it, you may just want to go simple. And there are tons of tutorials out there on how to do more elaborate designs and how to do what's called reverse stamping, where when the outline is on the rubber stamper, you paint colors on it before you transfer it to your nails. I haven't done that yet because I don't have the nail art brushes, but that is something that I'm going to be working on really soon because I think it looks really cool. there's just one more over here that I want to fill in. And ta-da, that's the end result. So again, I will post pictures of the final result of all the nails. But that's how you do that. And let me show you what it looks like when you remove the tape, since I have the nail this one done. You can see I've got some of the design around my nail. So just pull off the tape here. And you'll see how easy it is for cleanup. And you can use this for just painting your nails too, if you're not very good at doing the actual painting. And it'll keep it off of your skin. See, ta-da! Nothing on the skin, it's all on the nails. Simple, easy, just Scotch tape and you're done. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Again, my name is Trinity.